during weekend, while walking meditation, I experienced a continuous flow of mindfulness. Somehow I could see how I detached from the body sensations, from the feelings, from the thoughts. Like normally, when thought comes, I recognize it and go back to feet. But this time I could stay with them. Like they were coming and they didn't disturb me. So I could walk and realize that there were thoughts coming. Somehow it was clearer how the mind is conditioned to me. I could see how the mind has all its desires grasping, especially. This is maybe the biggest trait of my mind. I could see all the planning, how it's attached to the time, for example, how it's checking if it's 1 hour already meditation or still less. So I still do some more, how it's going back to the past and maybe doing some regrets, fears and so on. And later, at that time, it was already quite relaxed, the mind, but later comes kind of a realization or some knowledge, like experience knowledge, that nothing really matters, like that all is conditioned. I heard it before many times during the speeches and Dhamma talks, but this time it was a bit different. That it was somehow experienced and clear that it's the processes are running, and all I can do is just observe that there is no need to change anything. It's okay, and it so much released the pressure from the mind that it became very soft, natural, and all the observing was somehow easy. It came naturally. If I tried to make it like faster, that I wanted to observe more detail on feet or on breath, it didn't work. I started to lose this naturality. So I let it be, and I just observed whatever came. So somehow it was clear that it should come naturally. I shouldn't force it, and that was something I kind of saw in the past, but I forgot. And this time it reminded me that that's maybe the biggest break that I had. That all this grasping and trying to be more in meditation state, more concentrated, actually brought the opposite. So that was kind of a interesting realization. Yeah.
Good. And basically, yeah. Carry on. Yeah.
Just one comment on because you mentioned yesterday as an answer here, and that was interesting about this dull state of mind. Because I experienced it also before. I never realized it, only when I heard it yesterday, and I always tried to avoid it because it was very unpleasant. It put me in the unpleasant position. So whenever it came, with all this grasping, trying just to reach something different, and it was quite difficult. And this time, with this state of mind, I could observe it. Not for long, but I could. That it wasn't unpleasant. So that was also a new thing for me. funny thing is that, for example, today or yesterday, I lost this kind of. I thought that I know how to reach it, but it didn't work. And even with this knowledge of not forcing things, I couldn't come to the same state. But what remained was that during any activities, daily activities, whenever I could much faster see whatever I do, that when I'm pushing with the mind, then I can remind myself this feeling or this thought that I only need to observe. I don't need to push. I'm not going to change anything. Observation is enough, and this helps to at least softer mind a bit. So I guess it's more for longer term working with the mind. I cannot do it so artificially like I did it during the weekend, but some knowledge remained that I hope I can work with.
Good. So basically, these states are, as you mentioned at the beginning, appear like quite lethargic, not interesting, and no function at all, no activities, appear like quite dull. But that is because of our conditioning in ourselves. So we always want to do something. We always want to enjoy something, and we are going after the pleasures. So that is the sort of inculcated attitude in ourselves. So that is the deep-rooted attitude in ourselves. With compared to that, so this state basically has nothing. There is no conditioning, and there is no entertainment. There is no coming and going, and the mind is sort of at rest, and therefore we feel it as a kind of a boring state. So slowly we have to get familiarized with it, because it's a new kind of a state, and we might have already actually experienced it as you have mentioned, but we have never given a value to it. But now now we have to give a little value, and we have to logically understand its value, and now we are trying to be with it, just be. So without doing any kind of a fabrication, without doing any kind of a construction, once we reach there, we simply just be. So whenever we do something, again we are jump back to the sankhara, jump back to the formations. But while there, we simply have to be.
Yeah. Thank you for these comments.
Yeah.
It confirmed, what I thought. And here comes for me the question then. When it is said that, let's say, for example, or when this yogi was reporting about this mindful eating, how detailed she could taste all these characteristics, the hardness, softness, all these. I'm not able to do that. I'm not able to do that even in the walking meditation. I can maybe feel the heaviness of the foot, feel how it's, let's say, sliding in the air, feel cold, maybe warm, but I cannot go into so much details on, especially like in this eating. So the question is, with this experience, for me, I should only observe what comes naturally. So the question is if I should try to observe more. Is it possible, or just leave it and observe whatever comes?
No, actually it's a kind of a pattern that the mind, in a way, a little growing. So that's a kind of general pattern. So at the beginning we simply have to establish mindfulness, and that would be the first stage. And then once the mindfulness is fairly established, so there we need to inquire into the thing, inquire into various phenomena. So that is where we do the investigation, wise investigation. So then as a result we may able to, we encounter various details. But as we are continuing observing these various details, then it turns to the other side. So then all these details start to disappear. So they start to fade away, and we lose the interest, and our mind become dispassionate. So therefore, depending on our practice, so certain yogis are in the first stage, certain yogis are in the middle state, and certain others are in another state. So likewise, we ourselves are going through this kind of a development. So it depends therefore on how much we have been practicing. So if someone is in the sort of the dispassionate level, so there of course he may not get the distinct individual characteristics. So everything become like a flux, and there is no interest, and all boundaries have disappeared, and everywhere what you see is kind of a say flux. So that's sort of a little dispassionate view is there with oneself. At that time, of course, you can't see the different details, and it is not a problem, and that is how actually it is evolving.
And then for another comment that was mentioned is like, for example, when the thoughts are coming, that you advise to watch the thoughts, that don't go back to the let's say primary meditation object, but watch them. Is it that I can choose what I will be observing, because it's rather mind working, or is it more just let naturally see whatever comes to the attention of the mind and observe it?
Yeah.
Can I myself let's say force or give instruction that now I will be watching the thoughts?
Yeah, I think both are possible. So most convenient is, as you mentioned, allowing the natural flow. Suppose at the beginning, so you start with mindful breathing, and then after a while, say it is naturally going to a little pain in the body. So you will allow it, because you are now confident that you can handle these pains, and you can start to watch that. And once they disappear, assume that the mind automatically goes to another, say, pleasurable sensation, and you allow it, you are simply observing it. And if that also disappears, assume that the mind automatically start to watch the mind, and you simply can allow it, because the flowing is okay, because you are already established in mindfulness, and you are confident, and it can handle any stage. But on the other hand, say your mindfulness is weak, and mind is already started to experience or observe certain thoughts, and those thoughts are quite tempting, attractive, and then you start to sort of carried away. At this time you feel that now I have lost the mindfulness, now the mindfulness is weaker, and mind is now almost like driven by the various defilements, and at that time you can interrupt, you can intervene, and you can take your attention back to the breath, so that again you regain the mindfulness. So therefore, combination of both is necessary depending on the circumstances.
Okay, so to build up the mindfulness, it's okay to intervene, and one it's quite strong, it's better to let it choose what will be observed.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, because you know how to handle any case, because you are now familiar, and you are confident in the Kaya-anupassana, in the Vedana-anupassana, in the Chitta-anupassana. So all three fields, and you are quite confident, you can manage. So therefore it doesn't matter. You don't need to stick to a primary object.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe I would have one more philosophical question that came to my mind. What are there any really personalities when gradually we remove all these defilements, like these very strong ones that are clear, then maybe some less clear ones, some that are hidden in the subconscious mind, and once all these defilements are gone, what remains, then that there is like no personality, that all the people would be, all of us are the same, like nothing else remains, nothing that is characteristic.
So actually now, we can, so that is according to the Buddha's teaching. So once we are realizing more and more on the non-self characteristics, so what remains is sort of a pure awareness. So there is no person who is being aware. Rather, the awareness is there, but the issue was that because of our ignorance, time to time we are making a self. So that's a mind-made self. Kind of a created self. It is not an existing self. So as we are continuing the practice, so we understand how, because of our ignorance, how we are making a self. So that tendency is getting reduced, and now suppose we are not making a self, and there is no friction, no uncertainties, no suffering, and you simply maintain kind of an unattached, unassociated state of mind, and it is quite aware. So that is how we can answer. There is no ongoing personality or ongoing soul, anything substantial in this process. So everything is in a cause and effect relationship, and once the causes are there, the results are manifesting. Once the causes are not there, it can't manifest.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah, okay.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Yeah. Well, I have probably I tried a little bit during these sessions, practices, maybe more in sitting meditation. I tried to, at the beginning, to focus on rising and falling or breathing, and then somehow to expand my awareness into the whole body and let it be more and more subtle and light. And then I try to stay or rest more in this state of calmness and silence. And as we were talking yesterday about importance in question-answer sessions, about the importance of being focusing on real perceptions, I was realizing all the time that this is very important also for me. And we were also talking about dreams, and I woke up in the morning from the dream, which was quite interesting for me. And it was about being offered partnership, and it was a person who was very stable. So I went to be with him, and it was like being in his presence, and there was this feeling of simplicity and stability. And I know that Buddhists, they don't analyze dreams, not so important. But for me, it was like kind of confirmation that this stability and calmness is some kind of foundation. Well, that was my observation, and I think it was a little bit influenced by what I was doing during the sitting meditation, that dream. So that's one thing. And yeah, that's it. So maybe if you could tell me something a little bit about this stability and calmness of the mind.
Yeah, so actually you may understand why you can't maintain that stability. So now you have found the stable state of mind, why you can't maintain it. So there you understand, okay, still there are various tendencies in the mind. So mind has even some wrong perceptions, and due to that, again mind ignorantly go and grasp something. So that is, in other words, it is because of the craving. So more you recognize craving, you can simply allow it to go. Rather than promoting it, rather than strengthening it, now you are simply recognizing and then letting go. Again recognizing, again letting go. Now therefore, this stable state of the mind actually has to be used to recognize these defilements and then allow them to fade away. So therefore we are using this state as a kind of a ground, or as a stage for us to recognize various subtle defilements and to face them and to erase them from the mind. So therefore it's a kind of a, it's not the end of the battle, so rather we have found a good say stable position for us to continue the battle. So this is the home, we can say, is the safe place for us to take as a refuge. While being there, we have to allow various thoughts and events to happen, and when they happen, actually we are not get deluded. Rather we know how to face them, and we know very well that they are conditioned, and we allow them to fade away. So this is how, and as we continue like this, the stability of the mind further improves. So it's a kind of a, I mean, it is not a single day process, it may take time. So as we are continuing slowly, so daily, so our mindfulness increases and the stability of the mind increases, and as Buddha mentioned, so we have to now do in a relaxed manner. So Buddha talks about different levels of the development in the enlightened factors. You might have heard that there are 7 enlightened factors: mindfulness, investigation of phenomena, effort, then rapture, tranquility, then concentration, and then equanimity. So those are the 7 enlightenment factors. And Buddha mentioned, as we are growing more and more into the insight, so these enlightenment factors have to develop in a more delicate manner, not with a lot of rush or not with a lot of effort, but rather gently, through some restful observation, some relaxed attitude, and with some dispassionate attitude, and keeping the mind somewhat calm and not associating anything, keeping the mind still. So the approach has changed. Now if you consider, say, your early stages of the practice, say several years ago, say you have a strict schedule maybe, and you are strictly following it, and you are daily practicing, and it's a must to sit, and it's a must to walk. So likewise we are in a way kind of striving. But now we actually continue the practice, but the main, I mean, we try to keep the mind fairly quiet in a more relaxed manner, not grasping, and we know how to handle things. So therefore there is no kind of a fear, and therefore it's a kind of a smooth level or smooth way that now the practice is moving forward. Actually, we have to switch the gear to this smooth way of development from our previous striving mode of development.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Answer.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Bhante.
Yes.
This is Priya from India.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I have a lot of questions about meditation.
Okay.
As I do regularly 30 minutes
Mm-hmm.
that meditation. But I don't know, from inner side, I'm feeling so loneliness. It's feeling like there is something happened. What is happening, I don't know, but something happened. From inner side, it is very like running and running. My inner side always running. Where is it running, I don't know.
Yeah, I
And
mean, yeah.
now I want my inner peace.
Mm-hmm.
I do regularly 13 minutes meditation, but I don't know what to do that I can make me feel myself as a peaceful.
Yeah, I mean, basically that is where we need, at the beginning, we need some place or some object to hold the mind. Like, say, for example, say if you simply keep a ship on the ocean and it start to sway from this direction to that direction and move here and there, so it is not stable. So at the beginning of our meditation, so therefore we are taking a primary object. So for example, breath. So now it's a matter of again and again returning back to the breath. So say in breath we are being mindful, then the out breath we are being mindful. Again assume that the mind get distracted, as you have mentioned. Again mind get distracted. Doesn't matter. We are not afraid, because there is always a safe place to come back. That is the breath. So we are keeping breath as a kind of a primary object, as a home for the practice. So that is where again and again we are trying to establish the mind. So this is how we have to train the mind at the beginning. So therefore introduce this kind of a primary object to your meditation. It may be breath, it may be rising and falling of the abdomen, and if you are in the walking path, say walking meditation, there are your steps and how you are feeling to your steps. And likewise, these are the primary objects we can recognize, which are more fruitful, and it is a must to have sort of a primary object at the beginning of our practice.
Yes, and another thing is that as I am a teacher, and there are different kinds of people surrounding me, and I want to know the perfect deal, how to deal with a different kind of people in a different situation.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can't apply the same rules to everyone. You can't generalize it. So it depends. So assume that you are dealing with your parents. Then you have to deal in that manner. Say you are dealing with your friends. You have to approach in another manner. And if you are teaching to your children, to your students, so you have to deal with them in a different manner. So it depends on the context, depending on the situation, that we have to change our approach.
As I mean to say, different kind of people means to say the bad peoples who always want to push you. And you know that he is pushing me in my career and another thing. That kind of people, how to deal with that.
Alright, okay. So, and one thing is that we have to be a little patient. So if we are going to argue too much, if we are going to complain, and if we are going for a fight, so then we are getting to more and more trouble, and they also start to react. So as we develop the mindfulness practice, so this reaction become less. It doesn't mean we feel defeated. Rather, we can step back and look at the situation. Say, for example, assume that someone is arguing. So one obvious option is you are counter-arguing. So you are also fighting. You are also, when he says something, you are telling two things. He say one thing, you are telling 10 things. So likewise, you can continue to argue. So that manner, there is no end. So you are losing the relationship. You are sort of always fighting. So that is one approach. That is the most common approach that people are using. But on the other hand, say assume that you are developing mindfulness and you are able to establish yourself in the present moment. So that actually helps you to sort of step back and look at the situation. Now, typical approach is we are being driven by the situation. We are being driven by various moods, emotions, defilements arising in the mind. But as we continue our practice, as the development of the mindfulness, rather than we being driven by various emotions and mental states, now we can step back and watch them. So that is the beauty, that is the strength. So at that time, say for example, now you are in an argument, but rather than continuing the argument, you can step back and you can see how the mind is burning, how the other person is very much like burning, and how the anger is arising. Now we are not sort of promoting or fertilizing the anger, but we recognize anger as anger. So this is a kind of a complete change in ourselves. So this is the best approach that we can take, and that actually requires fair amount of training, and it may not definitely happen overnight, but slowly as we are developing mindfulness, these strengths start to build up. So this is the best approach actually we can take, so that we are not being victims to our emotions and all these things further.
Thank you for guidance.
Okay.
Now I'm feeling so much relaxed. I will follow these steps
Okay.
in my life.
Good.
And
Yeah, since you are from India, probably you can join our other programs as well. I mean, our monastery. I mean, probably.
yes, in Mumbai's Sangakai Foundation, I connected with them. And yes, and I got this Zoom IDs from them.
Good. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I'm feeling so much relaxed. I don't know. There was so much burden in my head. Now
Okay.
I'm so much relaxing.
Good.
Feeling like that.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So, are there any yogis from Javori?
Are you asking with me?
No. There's a retreat going on in the Slovakia. Okay, yes. Carry on, please.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, Bante.
Yes.
Hello, Lukáš. Prosím. Hello. Yes, áno. Ja som sa pokúšal ísť čo najjemnejšie, tak ako bez nejakého zámeru, keď sa dosiahne ten kľud čo najjemnejšie. A zaujímavé bolo, že najprv mysel reagovala opačne. A trvalo to dlho. Myšlienky boli ťažšie a ten kľud sa mi dostavoval len tak ako medzi dvoma balvanmi, alebo ako keď rastie nejaká rastlinka v asfalte. Že tie myšlienky boli ťažké a také bloky to boli. Ale ja som sa stále snažil ísť jemnejšie, že nesnažiť sa presadiť, len si to všímať a podobne. A skutočne v istej chvíli, trvalo to ale dlho, nastal pokoj, ktorý sa začal šíriť ako v tele. Začal som ho cítiť ako v kolenách, v rukách, ako zasiahlo to ako celé telo. Bol to zaujímavý pocit. Bol totiž taký, že by som ho nazval, že totálny. Je to totálny pokoj. Absolútny pokoj. A mal inú vlastnosť, ako majú iné naše stavy. Všetko je menlivé. Každý stav má pohyb v sebe. Toto bol živý stav, ale zároveň mal v sebe silnú informáciu, že to je konečné, že to sa nemení. A bolo to spojené s takým svetlom, akože bolo bol som naplnený takým svetlom, ktoré by som nazval biele. A ten pocit, že to nekončí, bol veľmi zaujímavý. Naozaj to nekončilo. Žiadna myšlienka to nemohla narušiť. Ani žiaden pocit, ani nič. A bolo to veľmi príjemné. Sprevádzal to vo mne taký pocit vďaky a podobne, takého dojatia. Bolo to veľmi, veľmi zaujímavé. Prosím, preklad.
I have tried to go as deep as possible in a soft way, gentle manner, without any strong intention. Yet I have been trying to reach as subtle state of mind as possible. What was interesting that my mind in the beginning reacted in an opposite way, and it took me a long time. And in the beginning, my thoughts were rather tough or strong or hard to go beyond. And it took time for the calm state of mind to arise. It was as if a plant was trying to break through a concrete, and my thoughts felt like heavy. Nevertheless, I have been trying, and after go deeper and towards more softer, refined states of mind, by just observing, just noticing mind and thoughts, and then at some point a sensation of profound calm, stillness set in, and it penetrated or saturated my whole body. I could feel it also in my arms and legs and knees, and so somehow it went through my whole body, and it was an interesting feeling. I would call it a kind of complete or total stillness or calmness, but its nature was different than a usual or other our or my states of mind that are by nature impermanent or transient, but this condition, this state of mind was rather very vivid or alive, and it had a strong information that it's a kind of final or ultimate state that is not changing, and it was also connected with light, some kind of perception of light. So I was filled with that whitish light, and there no thought or feeling could kind of disturb it. It was very comfortable, very nice state, and I was also moved by gratefulness, and overall it was very interesting.
Yeah, actually this kind of a state can happen even through the samatha meditation. That is where you need to be a little careful. So assume that your concentration is growing and your mind then get absorbed to a particular object like light, which is generated because of the concentration. Then you are in a absorption. So sometimes we call as jhana. So there also the mind is stable and it is not moving, and you feel quite comfortable, even blissful, and that state is possible. But there again, actually we need to understand it has acquired by grasping, acquired by absorbing to something. But when it comes to the vipassana, so the opposite happens, where the mind is not grasping to anything. So we have seen the impermanence, we have seen the unsatisfactory nature of various phenomena. We went through a lot of observation, and as a result of that we gained fair amount of wisdom, so that we went through kind of a dispassionate process, and then everything has let go of, and then nothing to hold. So basically now the mind becomes stable because it has nothing to hold, therefore it is stable. So there's a big difference between these two. So we ourselves should know, how am I reached the stability? What is the approach, or what is the path that I came through? Hope you understood the point.
Takýto stav môže vyvstať aj v meditácii šamaty. Čiže tu je treba sa mať trochu na pozore. Čiže keď rastie naše sústredenie mysle, tak môže vyvstať akési vnímanie svetla a myseľ sa môže na ňo sústrediť a keď je táto sila sústredenia vysoká, tak myseľ je pohrúžená do vnímania tohoto svetla a takéto pohrúženie označujeme ako džhána. Aj v tejto džháne je myseľ stabilná, nehýbe sa, cíti sa bláženie, cíti sa naplnená, takýto stav je možný. Avšak je treba, aby sme pochopili, že tento stav, takáto džhána, my sme ju získali skrz uchopovanie, skrz toho, že myseľ sa akoby držala toho objektu, alebo skrz toto akoby držanie sa, uchopovanie, a kým vo vypasanie robíme opak. Čiže myseľ nič neuchopuje, myseľ skrz pozorovanie javov vidí a chápe, že javy sú svojou povahou nestálne, prechodné. Skrz veľké množstvo pozorovaní, všímavosti získa veľkú mieru múdrosti, na základe ktorej sa odpúta od javov. Čiže vidí, že skúsenosti sú premenlivé, dočasné procesy, ktoré sa dejú a skrz túto múdrosť, túto silu pozorovania sa odpúta a ničoho sa nedrží. Čiže myseľ získa stabilitu, lebo sa ničoho nedrží. A v tom je veľký rozdiel medzi touto stabilitou, týmito dvoma prístupmi. Čiže my by sme mali vedieť, akým spôsobom sme túto stabilitu získali, ako sme sa k nej dostali, akou cestou sme k nej prišli. A ja verím, že rozumieš tomuto rozdielu.
Dúfam.
I hope so.
Dúfam, že rozumiem, ale treba ešte hlbšie ísť aj v tom pochopení, to určite. Pre mňa v tom stave bolo dôležité, že mal isté aspekty, napríklad, ako by som to nazval, bol to priamy kontakt s telom, napríklad. Lebo je, aspoň pre mňa, zdá sa mi, že aj pre mnohých od nás z západu, je to problém byť v priamom kontakte s telom alebo s čímkoľvek, že sme zvyknutí mať kontakt cez ideu, cez myšlienku. To aj hovoria u nás psychológovia, keď sa opýtajú niekoho, čo cíti, on povie, čo myslí. A tento pocit, že mám priamy kontakt s telom, bol tam prítomný, napríklad. Toto bolo pre mňa také dôležité, že a to, čo hovoril Bante, to absolútne beriem, že treba to brať ako istú skúsenosť. A táto skúsenosť je pre mňa taká ale zaujímavá, že mám dojem, že mi to niečo pomohlo. Že to bola taká pomoc od tej mysle. Tak toto aspoň zatiaľ vnímam. Prosím.
So I feel I need to go deeper in my understanding. What was important for me was that this experience, this state had certain aspects, among which one of the main was a kind of sense of having a direct contact with my body sense. So for me, and perhaps it's the same case with many other people in the West, is that we are not in the kind of direct contact. We are used to be in a contact through some idea. Also, when psychologists are asked, when psychologists are asking people what do they feel, they usually answer not what they feel, but what they think. So this feeling of direct contact with the body was not through any idea, but it was a direct kind of feeling, direct contact, which was for me a kind of important indication. So what Bante said, I'm fully accepting and fully taking in, this experience for me was interesting, and taking it as a kind of helping hand from my mind. So that's how I am perceiving it now.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, let me add a few words. Now, as you quite correctly mentioned, so we have to directly experience rather than conceptually think. Now, say for example, when your foot is touching the ground, we don't need to think about it. We don't need to read a book to know it. We can simply directly connect with it. We can simply directly feel it, experience it directly. So that is the most important thing in the Vipassana practice, where we are not conceptually making anything. We are not, make anything through the mind. Rather, we go to the direct primordial or fundamental experience, which is so direct. Yes.
Čiže tu by som ešte dodal pár slov. Ako si sa správne zmienil, tak áno, je treba mať túto priamu skúsenosť, miesto toho, aby sme konceptuálne mysleli, tak v kontraste s týmto konceptuálnym myslením, tak táto priama bezprostredná skúsenosť je veľmi dôležitá. Čiže keď sa napríklad chodidlo dotýka zeme, tak to nie je niečo, o čom by sme mali uvažovať alebo na čo myslieť. Ani nepotrebujeme žiadnu knihu, aby nám tú skúsenosť prostredkovala, ale je to niečo, s čím sa môžeme priamo spojiť skrz to, že to cítime. Čiže toto je najdôležitejšia vec vo vipassane. To znamená, že my konceptuálne nič nevytvárame. Naopak spájame sa s priamou skúsenosťou, bezprostrednou skúsenosťou, môžem povedať ako si prvotnou alebo fundamentálnou priamou skúsenosťou.
Ďakujem. Tak myslím, že to bol pre mňa veľký problém v minulosti, a je to stále ešte, prejsť z takej pozície myslenia do pozície cítenia. Nie je to také jednoduché, lebo keď sme zvyknutí veľa myslieť, tak cítenie je málo rozvinuté, nediferencované a máme len pocit, ktorý je takým blokom a nevnímame jeho bohatosť. Nemá to také spektrum, ktoré tam nevyhnutné je. A toto sa preučiť trvá roky, možno aj celý život. A myslím, že celá západná kultúra je postavená na myslení za posledných 200 rokov. Takže máme s tým nielen osobné problémy, ale aj také celkové problémy.
So thank you, and for me it was a kind of big problem, and still it is a problem to move from the position or standpoint of thinking to the position of feeling, or mere or bare feeling. So it is not so easy, and because we are used to think a lot instead of feeling, our thinking, conceptual thinking is highly developed. So in my understanding, when we are in such kind of thinking, we do not experience the kind of richness of feeling-based experience. So there is a lack of such kind of richness or spectrum of richness of the direct feeling experience. So perhaps it takes years to re-educate or to learn to experience things in a kind of different way. Perhaps it can take many years or even the whole life. And also our whole Western culture is based on thinking since the past 200 years. So this is not only a personal kind of problem or issue, but a cultural or overall problem.
It may not take, really long time, but still, as you develop mindfulness, you are slowly weakening that conceptual proliferation. Instead, you are giving more prominence to the direct experience. So with that, actually, we can expedite the process.
nemusí to trvať až tak dlho. S rozvojom všímavosti postupne oslabujeme toto konceptuálne premýšľanie a rozvíjanie alebo živenie konceptuálneho myslenia a miesto toho rýchlo dokážeme rozvinúť túto pocitovú skúsenosť alebo toto priame vnímanie, priame zažívanie.
Say for example, when you are doing some walking meditation, say there are a lot of thoughts coming to the mind, doesn't matter, but as much as possible I am keeping my attention onto the direct experience. Say when my foot touching the ground, so there is some sensation, so I am keeping my attention there. Again my right foot is touching the ground, so there is a sensation, that is a direct experience, and I am keeping my attention there. I am not worried about the thoughts coming to the mind, but as much as possible my duty is to keep my attention onto that direct experience which is happening between the ground and the foot. So this way we are strengthening the direct experience, and on the other hand we are weakening the proliferation, mental proliferation.
Napríklad v meditácii v chôdzi sa môže objavovať veľa myšlienok, avšak ja sa čo najviac snažím udržiavať pozornosť na priamej skúsenosti dotyku chodidla so zemou. A tam udržujem svoju pozornosť. Čiže som v tomto priamom vnímaní alebo v tejto priamej skúsenosti a nerobím si nejaké veľké starosti s myšlienkami, ktoré sa v mysli objavujú, pretože mojou úlohou a to, čo robím, je čo najviac zameriavať pozornosť na túto priamu skúsenosť a udržiavať pozornosť práve na tomto bode dotyku chodidla so zemou. Čiže týmto spôsobom posilňujem schopnosť priameho zažívania, priamej skúsenosti a zároveň oslabujem blúdenie v myšlienkach alebo rozvíjanie myslenia.
Ďakujem za učenie. Je to inšpiratívne. Ďakujem.
Thank you for your teaching. It's very, very inspiring.
Okay, you are welcome.
Nemáš za čo?
It seems that it's all from Javorie for today.
Yeah. So anyone?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Or shall we wind up the session? Okay. There seems no one else want to ask any question. Then we can wind up the session for today.
Bhante, this is Pia.
Yes.
Actually, I want to connect with you for a long time. I need your guidance.
Yeah, no problem.
So, what to do? Please guide me what to do.
Yeah.
I want to join with you for a long time.
Yeah.
Just because I need so much guidance. Yes.
Yeah, basically we are, from our monastery we are continuing some English programs. So there is one program related to the Buddha's teaching we discuss on every Wednesday at 7 a.m. Sri Lanka time. So probably you being in India, you can join with that. And that is on Wednesdays at 7 a.m. Actually that is on tomorrow, there is the program is there. And then, Wednesday at 7 a.m. And then there is another program I conduct on Sundays at 1:30 p.m. And actually there is half an hour walking session, and then I join at around 2 o'clock. And they are, there they conduct a guided sitting session, and after that we go through a small Dhamma sermon, and then we discuss various meditation related matters. So likewise there are a couple of programs, so I can share the
Actually, I have sent you my WhatsApp number.
I see. So WhatsApp So through the chat you sent, or I don't know.
Yes, I want to join in every kind of way. That I want to connect with you.
Oh, basically.
I got it 3 days, Wednesday, Sunday, but more days I don't know.
So the Wednesday and Sunday are the ones I conduct in English medium. So you can join. So I'll put it to the chat session. So into this chat session now I am copying a mindfulness for young adults session. Give me a second. I'll Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday. Give me a minute.
Yes.
Yeah, export. So I am sending a file. There it has the English Zoom sessions conducted by us. So you can use the information there. You can download this file and then you can make use of that.
Okay.
Hope you got it.
No,
you go to the chat. You go to the chat.
Chat. Yes, I am in chat.
So
I'm unable to see.
So that inside the chat, I have sent it to everyone. You should be able to see the English Zoom sessions PDF file.
Chat with everyone.
Alt H. I too can't see. I see. Why is that?
Yes, I can see this text message, but unable to see that file.
How come? So I have sent to everyone. There is an English Zoom sessions PDF file. Can't you? Can you see from January?
Yes.
Yes, we can. Sorry, here is Lucas. Yes, I can see. I can open the file.
PDF file is there, right?
Yes.
Didn't you get Pia?
I can't find my file.
Sorry, Bhante, out of 10, but we can't see it either.
Really? Okay, I'll try to send the information directly. So this is the mindfulness for young adult session. So this is the information. Now have you got that text message?
Yes.
Okay. So this is at 1:30 p.m. Sri Lanka time. And then
In Sunday?
No, this is on Sundays. This is on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then there's another one which is on Wednesdays. So that is give me a second. That is on Wednesday.
In Wednesday, 7 a.m.
7 a.m. Yes. Every Wednesday 7 a.m. 7 a.m. Now this is the password for that. So there are two programs basically. And there's another one Bhante Dhammajiva conduct. So that is at Tuesdays at 8:30, and the meeting ID is similar to the Wednesdays one.
Okay, Wednesday 1.
Yeah.
Tuesday 8:30 a.m.
Yeah, 8:30 a.m. Tuesday to 8:30 a.m. and Wednesdays at 7 a.m. That is the same meeting ID and password. And Sundays at 1:30 p.m. That is the mindfulness for young adults session.
I need so much mindfulness.
Okay. Yeah. Everybody needs it. Okay.
Bhante?
Yeah.
If these, it's Samantha here.
Yeah.
If these recording, are these programs recorded? Because
Of course.
The AM ones.
Yeah.
From my end, from UK, it's early morning. I think about 2 o'clock or something.
Right.
So if I want to listen to these recordings, where will they be recorded?
So I'll give the again the link to the chat. So what I have sent now, is the mindfulness for young adults recording, and then give me a second, then the Sutta teaching session I'll again separately send you. So this is the Sutta teaching session, second one. So you can actually go to the links, and then you can go through all the programs we conducted so far.
Oh, thank you, Bhante. That's wonderful.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Sadhu, 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 Bhante.
Okay, then we'll wind up the session now, and we'll meet again at 4:30 p.m. for the Dhamma sermon.